Rockies back home. I'd like to tell you the Rockies are going to be home for quite a while, but that's not the case. Of course, they were home for 9 games a few days back. Went to Cincinnati for 3. Just 3 against the Diamondbacks, and then out on the road. Next week, the Rockies will be in Philadelphia, taking on the surprising Phillies. And then it's to Arlington, Texas, to take on the not-so-surprising Texas Rangers. So the Rockies come in a half game behind the Diamondbacks in the very competitive and very tightly contested National League West. And big number 48 is going to the mound, German Marquez. As we take a look at the Southwest batting order tonight for the Diamondbacks, Torey Lovullo will have his newcomer, John Jay, batting leadoff, and Jay will be in right field. Then it's Paul Goldschmidt. And from afar, you probably heard about Paul Goldschmidt and how tough a first half it's been. He's actually come on, though, the last 10 days. So you see the 233 average. It's much better than that over the last couple of weeks. Jake Lamb, Daniel Descalso will bat cleanup. He's been a godsend for them, actually. David Peralta, Ketel Marte. Gerard Dyson will play center field and bat 7th. The catcher this evening is Jeff Mathis, and then Zach Greinke, who is a great athlete. He's a great hitting pitcher as well. So take a closer look at Marcus's numbers. And the key, I think, you hit on a few moments ago, Spilly, fastball command, because the league, kind of like John Gray, for a guy who has a plus fastball, they're hitting over 330.
Isn't that strange? And I think when you're looking at German, it's missing middle part of the plate and up. He has to live on the edges. Trust your stuff. The stuff is great. It plays. Secondary pitches for him. Every one of his secondary pitches, hitters are hitting below 230 against those pitches. But for him, it's getting through the first inning. We know the numbers in the first inning. Over a 10 ERA. You see that so often with pitchers as they're trying to find what pitches work early in the game that they can't get their A command. Walks have come to bite him in the first inning. Get after this Diamondbacks team with first pitch strikes.
So we are set on a hot and a little bit humid, I might say, evening at Coors Field. Typically when the weather's like this, the ball jumps. So there's John Jay's numbers with the Kansas City Royals. And he's back in the National League West. You may recall a couple of years ago, he played for the Padres, hit 291 in 90 ball games for San Diego. Last year he was a Cub. He's pretty steady. You're not going to get a ton of extra base hits, but he typically is going to hit 290 or above. Here's the 0-1 delivery, and that's fouled off, and quickly Marcus is ahead 0-2. 91 degrees, and we're not complaining, though. Nope. 0-2, curveball, close, but just missed. 1-2. 288 lifetime hitter is John Jay. And that's a good looking curveball, but just off the outer portion of the plate, according to home plate umpire Chris Siegel. So it's 2-2 on Jay.
And Jay will grind at bats. He's a veteran hitter, not afraid to take pitches.
And Marcus slipped on that, and now it's 3-2. Jay, originally a product of the University of Miami. He was a second-round pick of the Cardinals back in 2006. You competed against him.
Good player, great outfielder.
And swing and a miss and a strikeout on a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. It's a good start for Marcus. Let's take a look at the Rockies defensively. You're going to see the two teams in this ball game, this weekend series, who have the fewest errors in the National League. 20 for the Rockies, 20 for the Arizona Diamondbacks. And Nolan, he made another Gold Glove play yesterday. He's just a joy to watch night in and night out. Here's Goldschmidt. Fastball off the plate, ball 1.
I was curious how many times Paul Goldschmidt has hit second in the lineup for the Diamondbacks this year. This is his 8th game start.
And he works ahead 2-0. I got a number or 2 numbers for you that are going to drop you out of your seat. He's hitting 301 on the road. That's not a surprise. A great hitter, right? He's hitting 160 at Chase Field, which is a great offensive park. It's his home yard. 160.
It's just so strange.
This ball's well hit. Cargo on the move. He's going to have to chase it to the wall. And Goldschmidt will have a double. And that's exactly what he's been doing of late. I mean, Goldschmidt got off to the worst start in his career, but of late he's looked a whole lot like the Goldschmidt everybody's familiar with. 10 extra base hits since May 23rd after that double.
Earlier in the year, fastballs down the middle, Goldschmidt would hit straight through it on the Subaru Supermo. You see that's a belt high fastball. No matter what kind of struggles you go through, a belt high fastball down the middle is going to get hit.
So with one out, Goldschmidt at second. Here is Jake Lamb, and Jake Lamb has it redirected to Story. Can he get it out of his glove in time? Yes. Boy, that was a good play by Story. It went off the glove of Marcus and caromed high in the air.
This just shows how athletic Trevor Story is. He's able to redirect his body and then the arm strength to quickly get it out and still put enough on it and be accurate, because it's a very close play. It's not a lot of feet in between that throw and Ian Desmond. He can't afford to throw a ball in the dirt. It's not enough reaction time for a fielder.
So here's Descalso, the one-time Rocky, an all-around good guy, and he takes strike one. You may look at Daniel and say he's not your prototypical cleanup hitter, but Arizona's in search mode. So Daniel's been in that spot 10 times now this year.
Well, he's one of the best hitters on the team against righties.
And he drives in a run with that single to right. So once again, the first inning, troublesome for Marcus. It's been troublesome for just about everybody in that Rockies rotation, save Kyle Freeland.
Hanging curveball in the Subaru Supermo. Descalso came into today's game hitting .284 against righties. Nearly the tops on his team. The Diamondbacks are hitting .204 against right-handers this year. It's 30th in baseball.
Or dead last.
Yeah.
Peralta takes a fastball for a strike. Descalso, in a little more than 3 games, has driven in 7 runs. He had 2 RBIs in each of the last 3. That's the first time in his career he's done that. Multi-RBI games 3 in a row. I was visiting with their hitting coach, Dave Magadan, around the batting cage today. And he said, you know, A.J. Pollock carried them in April, and he said without Daniel Descalso, he said, I don't know where we'd be, because you know their numbers offensively are miserable, but it's been Pollock. If this is fair, you're not going to have a play. So a squib hit for Peralta, 2 on, and Marte coming up. But he said without Descalso, they'd really be in a difficult spot.
Well, they're still sitting in first place. As bad as it's been for the Diamondbacks.
Now you have a hot hitter up in Marte. He's hitting only .231 on the season, but his last 8 hits have all gone for extra base hits, and he's hitting .357 his last 9 games. Goes off speed, and he's ahead 0-1. A run in for Arizona, 2 outs and 2 on. Oh, and 2. See what Chris Iannetta sets up here. Set up late with the runner at second. It's always a tough deal, Spilly, for a catcher, because with a runner at second, sometimes you want to deke that guy and give a kind of a false look at where you're setting up, but then you have to recover to where you actually want the pitch to show up.
You want to allow the pitcher enough time to see the target and throw through it.
Didn't get on top of that curveball, and now the count evens at 2-2. put this thing down right here. Outfield not particularly deep, straight up. Infield same. And a foul tip held by Iannetta. So the strikeout ends the inning. There were 3 hits and a run for Arizona. 1-0 as we go to the bottom of the first at Coors Field. Time this year, game 4 of 19 between these two rivals. Southwest batting order for the Rockies tonight: Blackman, Arenado, Gonzalez, Story, Parra, Ian Desmond. 4 for 10 in that opening series against the Diamondbacks. Chris Iannetta will bat 8th, and German Marquez has swung the bat well for Colorado. And the Rockies are facing Zach Greinke. They know him well. And for Greinke, he got off to a sluggish start, but over his last 6 games, he's fashioned a .241 ERA. Overall, the numbers for Zach this year, Spilly, much better at home than on the road.
Yeah, they really are, but when you still look at the overall numbers, this guy's still an elite pitcher.
I think you have to look to get after him early in the count. He's a guy that fills up the zone. He does not walk anybody.
No, his walks, hits per innings pitch is nearly a 1.
DJ hits this ball in the air down the right field line, foul ground, and the wind blows that thing about 8 rows back. A little more wind than it appears.
Well, I know talking to Rockies hitters, they love to face Greinke. It's a grind, it's a back and forth. This guy knows how to pitch. He has pinpoint control, excellent command of secondary pitches. If you're looking at his changeup, that's his best secondary pitch. Hitters are hitting 140 against him. But it's not the typical changeup where it's a 10-mile-an-hour variance in velocity. It's his movement pitch.
But you know what? He used to have a plus fastball. Now he has a well below average fastball. He averages just about 89 miles an hour on his heater. You know, Greinke back in the day, he'd go and get 95 when he wanted to. 1-2. And this is hit in the air to center field. Easy play out there for Dyson. 1 out as Charlie Blackman will approach. The big hit is brought to you by Mako. It's been a bunch of big hits for Charlie. He's kind of been, by his standards, a little bit of a slump. Last 12 games, he's thrown out 21 hits. Hit close to 400 during that stretch. He brings in a .289 average. Mako, big hit. It's been done many times before. It's handled by Charlie Blackman. Charlie takes ball 1. .338 career average against the Diamondbacks. In fact, over those 12 games, to cruise 21 hits, you got to have a lot of multi-hit games. He's had 9 of them. There's the pinpoint control. Behind in the count, he absolutely painted the black.
For a hitter, because his changeup is so good and he's willing to throw it in any count, the fastball still plays at 89 miles an hour.
2-1. Charlie's faced Greinke 52 times. He has 14 hits or 269 average. He does own a home run against him. And this is on 2 hops to Descalso. There's Arizona defensively, and as we told you, they've been very good defensively. And they have a new man in right field in John Jay, who has a .996 career fielding percentage, and among active outfielders, that's #1. Primarily been a center fielder in his career, whereas Dyson, another former Royal, he's in center field, and John is trying to communicate not only with the infield, I think with his dugout on positioning with Nolan at the plate.
John Jay and Daniel Descalso going back and forth, teammates together in St. Louis. See Descalso smiling at Jay, Jay smiling back. First game together in years.
First pitch strike on Nolan. That's outside. Nolan 260 in his career against Greinke. Surprisingly, in 50 ABs, he has not hit a home run off. Perhaps that will change tonight.
I like it.
5th in the league with that .327 average. Here's the 1-1. Check with Gabe Morales at first. No swing. 2-1. Part of the help defensively tonight for Arizona will be on the mound, because Greinke fields his position as well as any pitcher in baseball. 3-1.
I like reading the story about Zach Greinke. When he was drafted, began his career at rookie level as a shortstop and a pitcher. He was Shohei Ohtani before Shohei Ohtani, and after one workout, just handed his infield glove to Andres Blanco. Said, "I'm going to be a pitcher."
Well, that's not only how great an athlete he was or is. There's a base hit to right, and then look at Cargo up. When he was in high school in Florida, he was the Gatorade National Player of the Year. He did not pitch until his senior year. He was a shortstop, and he had a scholarship to go to Clemson, but he was an extremely high draft pick, and he was talented enough that he's one of those guys, Bill, you played with a couple of these guys, that if he decided that he did want to be a position player, he would have gotten here probably.
Oh, yeah.
He's just really gifted.
It's like Cargo.
Like Cargo, who was a pitcher growing up in Maracaibo in Venezuela. Cargo has great numbers against Greinke. 15 for 45, 5 home runs. And last year he smashed one against Greinke to center field. Greinke was hopping mad. Nolan at first. He's now reached in 20 straight. In fact, this is his 58th game. Remember, he was suspended. He has reached in 55 of them. That's pretty good.
He's getting better. How's that even possible?
Ooh, Cargo had a pitch out over the plate to his liking. He just missed it. Dyson makes the catch. Rockies are done in the first inning. We'll go to the second. Arizona leads at 1-0. plate. Gerardo Parra guns down Jesse Winker.
Diving play by Arenado. Are you kidding me? Arenado with a spectacular play.
Cargo up with a baseball. They have a chance to get him at second. Out at second base. What a throw by Carlos Gonzalez. And we are back live. Jared Dyson at the plate, and he fouls off the first offering. It's 0-1 from German Marquez. Cargo yesterday threw a man out at the plate. The would-be tying run in the 8th inning. Unfortunately, the Rockies had the game tied against Wade Davis on 2 wild pitches in the 9th, and they ultimately lost 7-5 on a 2-run walk-off home run by Jesse Winker in the 13th against Chris Russin. But Cargo had 2 extraordinary throws in that series. Parra had the great throw you saw. The steadiest aspect, Spilly, for the Rockies all season, and tonight is game number 63. So there's 100 left beginning tonight. The steadiest aspect, night in and night out, has been their defense.
And it has to be. It's the one that you can control.
On the ground to first, and a nice feed to Marcus just in front of the speedy Dyson. 1 out. That'll bring up Jeff Mathis. It'll also take us again to Taylor McGregor. Hey, Taylor.
Hey, yeah, you guys were talking about that defense, and I was speaking with McMahon earlier today saying, do you understand that the plays you guys are watching aren't normal across baseball? And he said, you know, every single person on this team has done a really good job of building a level of excellence when it comes to defense. So the young guys like McMahon, like Tauchman, they feel the pressure to really step up and perform like Nolan Arenado or Trevor Story, but they also do appreciate the fact that no, it is not normal across Major League Baseball, and they are witnessing something very great. Drew?
You know what, Taylor, that's a great question to ask young players if they understand what they're witnessing. I'm glad you did that. And I'll take it one step further. And Spill, you know this from playing on some really good Rockies teams. Mathis hits this ball pretty well, but right at Charlie, 2 outs. And that'll bring up Greinke. And that's this. You guys set a standard in 07. You go to the World Series, the great run. We all know about that. 2008 didn't go the way everybody would have hoped, but 2009, again, 92 wins. My point is that young players coming up, it's not just, hey, I'm in the big leagues and this is a team that's somewhat mediocre. No, there's a standard that's been set. Well, whether you talk about defense or now going to the playoffs last year, when you come up as a Colorado Rocky, the standard is we're going to win every night.
And you have to have that standard, and in order to play great defense, it's a byproduct of the starting pitching and the guys on the mound. If you're pitching with rhythm, with timing, pounding strikes, the defense behind you will play. And I think that when we're looking at this Rockies rotation, that's what you're getting. Starting rotations held their end of the bargain. They're pitching quick, good tempo, and they're using the defense. But back to the point of setting a standard, the standard has been set, and these guys have taken it and they've raised it to another level.
I think that's why you're seeing what the Rockies have done on the road this year, following up what they did last year when they went 41-40. The only other team to be above 500 on the road was that 09 team that Spilly was a part of that went 41-40. When people talk about John Jay, Daniel Descalso, they played for the Cardinals for a long time. People talk about the Cardinal way. Here's the 2-1, jump foul. To me, it's not like they have some hocus pocus thing that when you get drafted or signed by them that they have these meetings and spring training with all the young guys that nobody else does it. But it's, hey, we expect to be around in September and competing to play in the postseason. That's a fair ball. And Zach is tagged out. That's a really good inning. But that's what the Rockies are beginning to achieve, and carrying that standard forward now under Buddy Black in his 2nd year. 1-0 Arizona. we go to the bottom of the second. Story, Parra, Desmond against Zach Greinke. Time for our Lowe's whole team together on a warm night at Coors Field. Rockies' average at home is 274. The last homestand, they really got hot. Unfortunately, after a 4-1 start, they lost their last 4, so they're trying to snap that 4-game losing streak at home. But DJ, Cargo, Charlie, Nolan all swung it tremendously well. And they continued that, quite frankly, in Cincinnati. They swung the bats very well in Cincinnati. Another stat here in a moment as Story steps in against Greinke. And that's back up the middle, but Scalzo is positioned there. And that's, you know what? That's when all the folks that study analytics and defensive positioning, they feel real good about themselves, because that's a hit.
That's been a hit since the game has been invented.
Exactly. But in the last few years, a lot of hits have been taken away. Cargo had one taken away yesterday, turned into a double play. Absolutely blistered one up the middle. And Scooter Jeanette's standing there behind second base.
And you wonder why sometimes hitters' approaches have been lost in 2018. There's another reason. You want to get rewarded for hitting the ball hard up the middle. You do that, line drive, and somebody catches it.
How many times have you heard in your career, going back to high school at Santa Barbara High, UCSB, your lengthy pro career, stay in the middle of the field, Spilly? I remember one spring training, you were part of it. There were cones.
Yeah, there were cones.
Remember that? It was a reminder, all spring training, whenever you guys took BP. This is on the ground to short. Marte's got it, low throw, and it gets through. Now Parra is trying to get to second, and he will. You could see that error coming from Marte. His feet were not underneath him, and Goldschmidt could not dig the ball out of the dirt. So the Rockies get a break, see if they can take advantage.
In between hop towards Ketel Marte, and you're absolutely right. Feet never get set, slips a bit on the dirt, and doesn't have the opportunity to set his feet to make a good strong throw towards first. Subaru Supermo. Let's see how close it was at second base. Close enough.
So here's Ian Desmond. He's 4 for 24 lifetime against Greinke. Desi takes a strike. But anyhow, you remember that spring training, everything you always hear, stay in the middle of the field, stay in the middle of the field. Then you stay in the middle of the field and the guy's standing there.
Yeah, I'm going to start pulling. I'm going to start lifting and separating.
And this ball top to third, Lamb. 2 outs, and that'll bring up Iannetta. Well, Arizona commits a rare error. Told you they were tied with the Rockies, fewest errors in the National League. So 2 outs, Chris at the plate with Parra at second base. One other note on the Rockies offense. Came together on the last homestand. They're going to walk Iannetta here early in the game and go after Marcus. Wondering if they would do that. A lot of times teams early in a game won't do that, especially with a pitcher the caliber of Zach Greinke on the mound, but they elect to. So the last 12 ball games for the Rockies, they've averaged 6.5 runs a game. You would think, oh man, they probably have, what are they, 9-3, 10-2 over those 12 ball games? Unfortunately, because of some pitching woes, particularly as we know in the bullpen, the Rockies are just 6-6. Pretty good swing by Marcus.
That's the beauty of baseball, is that teams will go through stretches. Every single team, we talk about all the time, every team wins 60 games, every team loses 60 games, and then it's the 42 in between and what you do with it. And it's hard because you'll have a stretch where starters aren't going deep into the games, and now you have relief. Oh,
this is pulled to left, and it is going to drop. And here comes Parra with the tying run. Marcus blows up that whole theory. He's done that a couple times this year. He came in hitting 250. And that was no joke. He got the barrel out and lined it to left field. 1-1 ball game. Curveball.
Yeah, hanging curveball, middle part of the field, and Herman just drops the barrel on it. At this point, Herman, with the amount of hits that he has had in his career, he's a hitting pitcher. I'm not saying that he's a hitter, but he's a hitting pitcher.
I see the designation, but it's better than just being
A pitcher.
an out.
Yeah, I know. That's a quality of bat.
It was. So here's DJ. He hit a fly ball to center field. His first at bat against Greinke. Outside. Mayhew's hit .313 in his matchups against Greinke. The core of the Rockies have seen Greinke in the neighborhood of 50 at bats, which that's a ton of at bats against one pitcher. You don't need to really look at video when you know you're facing Greinke if you're a Blackman, a LeMahieu, a Cargo, a Nolan. They have dreams about this guy, sometimes not pleasant ones. He's been a top shelf pitcher for a long time.
I think Trevor Story has dreams about Zach Greinke.
Greinke may have nightmares about Trevor. He has 8 hits against Greinke and 4 have gone over the fence.
He's dreaming about him.
No, he's dreaming about why Descalso was standing behind second base when he hit that laser up the middle. 2 on, 1-2. And this is a pop fly to shallow right, but Jay will get there, and that'll end the inning. But the Rockies get the equalizer on a base hit by Marcus. We'll go to the third, even at 1. That looks like fun. Baseball is fun. Being little is fun. Being little and playing the game is big fun. We go to the top of the third. Ton of little leaguers here tonight. I know I saw where my kids went for many years, the AYL, Arapahoe Youth League. They're always well represented. With Ryan Spilborgs, I'm Drew Goodman. This is Dallas Davis, Assistant Director of Community Relations for the Rockies. Been with the Rockies since you left CSU, pretty much, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Dabbled in the NFL for a little bit, and then they got a real job.
Yeah, exactly. Real job, 14 years here with the Rockies and loving it.
Good for you.
We get to do things like talk about play ball and hang out with kids. So I appreciate the time and the platform to really highlight some of our youth initiatives. And play ball is really an initiative that came from Major League Baseball. So we're happy to join in on that.
I think it's awesome because it is a game that everybody in not just our country, I mean around the world it is played, but it's almost like the rite of passage for even if you don't end up playing in high school or certainly beyond that. Every kid throws a ball with mom or dad or goes in the backyard or in the street and swings a bat. And you guys are at the centerpiece of promoting that, aren't you?
Absolutely. And we're excited because around all of baseball, all of the teams have been promoting this Play Ball initiative, which is really to encourage young people to go out and just play baseball, softball. There's so many great opportunities. And like you said, you don't have to be spilly here and make it to the big leagues to still enjoy what the game has to offer.
I'm so glad you said that, because when I fell in love with baseball, I had no desire to be a Major League Baseball player. I just want to be with my buddies.
Right.
Just want to be with my friends and hit a baseball. When you're seeing kids play, how important is it for them to have that feel of, don't worry about the big leagues. Let's just play ball. Let's just have fun.
Yeah. And, as we go out and do some of these clinics, and we'll talk about that as well, but you do get the kids that, right away they're trying to play here at Coors Field, and you want to just put the brakes on a little bit and say, you know what, enjoy this game. It does become a job at some point, and even for us grown folks that couldn't hit that slider, when they started pitching at 80 miles an hour. Yeah, we can play softball. We can try to become king of the softball field. So,
what types of things are doing for families looking in and they're saying, you know what, I got, little boy, little girl that I want to get involved. What types of areas are you guys promoting that can get folks involved?
Yeah, well, again, you have formal baseball, softball, but it doesn't always have to be that formal. I mean, like you said, Drew, you can go outside, just play catch. At some point, these big league players, somebody put a glove in their hand, somebody put a baseball in their hand. But we do want to highlight our little leagues around town. So if you were here earlier, you got to see the parade of some of our little leaguers.
Well, Paul Goldschmidt played Little League baseball, and he did that a lot, I'm sure, as a kid growing up in Texas. See, it's a 2-run home run after doubling in the first, and now it's 3-1 Arizona. Costly walk to John Jay, and then Goldschmidt, who has been locked in the last 2 weeks, does what he has done so many times in the past.
And Drew, to add on to that, I think one thing as a parent, you miss signups, and I missed signing my kids up for softball this year. I got them in late. So all the parents out there, you definitely pay attention to that. You can still sign your kids up for fall ball, but spring and summer we're a little past some of those signups. So we want to promote that. We want to let people know, hey, it's time to go sign up for your little league.
Have you seen numbers jump? I know at the high school level, at the travel ball level, this ball's pulled down the line by Lamb. It's got to go foul, and it is a fair ball. That is a home run for Lamb, and all of a sudden it's 4-1. And the Diamondbacks have not been hitting this year, but they're hitting tonight. For Lamb, his 3rd of the year, that's all. This is a guy that's accustomed to hitting a lot of home runs.
Well, we talked about before the game even started, it's one of those evenings where it's warm, a little humid, not a lot of wind. The ball's going to fly out. And if you're missing in the middle and up, the balls will be punished. This is basically nitro zone for a left-hander, down and in. Diamondbacks came in, we mentioned this earlier, came in against righties hitting 204. That's worst in baseball. And for Herman, leaving pitches up in the zone to this Diamondbacks team, you're starting to build some confidence for them.
So Descalso with 3 runs in, nobody out. He singled in a run in the first. So getting back to the initiative, I know at the high school level, the travel ball area, I should say, we have seen a great number of players that perhaps weren't playing 20 years ago, and I always attribute it to the Rockies. When the Rockies came aboard, greater interest in baseball took place. Have you noticed that as well?
Here in the state, absolutely. I think as far as it relates to the play initiative, which really across the country and all of the Major League Baseball markets, we want to see that participation level increase. So I think it's still too early to see what the impact of the play campaign has been, because it started a couple years ago.
Sure.
But yeah, I definitely think, especially with the help with you guys too. I mean, we all play a part in sharing this game. From the guys on the field to you guys that communicate the message You know, it's a joint effort, and you know, you look around the ballpark here, you see young people all over the place, and walking around the warning track. It's exciting, and it's Billy. I know, and hopefully you'll share some stories as the broadcast goes on. But you know, youth baseball has so many positive messages and good things to offer kids in a world where there's competition everywhere.
Well, I always say it comes down to, and I grew up in Southern California, and the Dodgers ran a similar program as the Rockies Caravan in the offseason, and I was able to meet my hero at an age where I was falling in love with the game. So I was able to meet Steve Sachs, and because of that interaction, I felt like I could eventually become a big leaguer, but at least I had a path that I wanted to follow. How important is it for Rockies players, for a Nolan, for a Trevor, for a Charlie to be seen in public with some of these young players so they can understand, hey, I have a chance to be just like Kyle Freeland. He's from Denver.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you know, and that leads into what we're going to do tomorrow. You know, we're going to go over to the Owens Branch Boys and Girls Club, and I know you guys have both helped out with that clinic, and really that, you know, the goal in that is just, again, share the game, let the kids learn some of the basics from big leaguers, and you know, hopefully we get another Kyle Freeland coming out of the Denver area. But how exciting is that? Is that we have a local guy here at the big league
That's
level.
awesome. And the draft that took place earlier in the week, there were a number of kids from Colorado, either at the high school level or collegiate level. This ball's hit a long way by Peralta, and this thing's going to get out. Wow, this is a rough inning for him. 3 home runs in the inning, and it's 5-1 Arizona for Peralta. He leads the club with 11. Reiterate what we talked about earlier, and Spilly just said 45 seconds ago. It is a hot night, and if you leave a pitch up and it gets barreled a little bit in the air, it's going to leave the yard.
We wanted to talk about a kids parade, not a Diamondbacks parade, as they're rounding the bases this inning 3 times. Again, just notice location. It's center and it's belt high.
After this conference with Steve Foster, it will be Ketel Marte coming up. 5-1 Arizona. Well, the one area when you talk about the play ball initiative around baseball and how involved the Rockies have been for years in the region, not just in our state but in the region, the one missing thing that I know Spilly and I did, Dallas, I'm sure you did growing up in the Loveland area, and that is every time we played, this is loop to left, this is a long run for Parra, and he gets there. Good running catch by Gerardo. The one thing we did is, yeah, we had formal youth baseball, but we got together with friends, whether it be in the cul-de-sac or at the school, wherever we played, and however many guys you had, you played. You figure out a way, and you had to, you know, show leadership characteristics to, you know, formulate a game if there wasn't 18 guys. And of course, there typically wasn't 18 guys.
Of course not.
You know, now kids don't do that as much.
Yeah, and you know, growing up in Fort Collins, that's exactly what we did. Especially in the summer, you go outside, you find a ball, you find some random bat, and you play. So you know, we want to encourage that, and all the parents out there that are sitting there with their daughter or son, you know, that could be as simple as just picking up a baseball, putting a glove in somebody's hand. I do want to talk about tomorrow. We do have a select number of wristbands, play ball wristbands, to hand out to the kids. So make sure you bring the kids on out. And again, I would have brought you guys some, but we had to save some for the kids.
Save some. And that branch, you're talking about at the ballpark? You're talking about out at...
So we're going to hand the wristbands out here at Coors Field for some of the early arrivals of the kids that get here. But yeah, we have our clinic that we're going to host tomorrow with some Rockies volunteers. Red Robin will bring some food for the kids, and AT&T Sports is going to have some people out there volunteering. So just another fun time at the ballpark. But follow Rockies social media, especially Twitter. We have a big campaign that you guys can look forward to tomorrow. So Rockies social media, help you guys
be all over.
Get on board.
Follow the Rockies Twitter account. It's the best in baseball, and they'll have more information on that. Dallas, always good to see you, bud.
Thanks, Dallas.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Dallas Davis.
Thanks, Bill.
Third for the win is brought to you by Pizza Ranch. It's time to turn the tables. The Rockies have had the lead in each of the last 5 losses. This is a come from behind type victory for the Rockies tonight.
Well, maybe that way will work better than the other ways worked lately. That's what you have to hope. The Rockies have a hill to climb against one of the game's elite pitchers, Zack Greinke. Blackman, Arenado, Gonzalez. 3 home runs against Marcus in the top of the 3rd. Swing pitch goes in favor of Zack Greinke, 1-2. Charlie was sitting soft and did not get the fastball, so it's 1 out. That is the first strikeout tonight for Greinke, who's averaging more than a strikeout per inning pitched despite the reduced velocity.
Prior to tonight's game, 73 1/3 innings pitched, 78 strikeouts, only 11 walks, 11 home runs too.
Strikeout to walk ratio better than 7-1. He had a good year last year, and it was under 4-1, which is really good. Nolan had a base hit to right in the first. The only other hit for the Rockies was German Marcus tying the ball game with 2 outs in the second with a line single left. There's David Dahl. He's on the mend. Broken foot.
Had a chance to catch up with David today. I hadn't seen him since I heard the news. They were pleased with some of the results, although it's still a broken foot. They thought it could have been a worse diagnosis, a potential Liz Frank injury.
He needs a run, and he deserves a run of good fortune when it comes to health. Go back to the splenectomy he had in the minor leagues. Last year, the rib/back issue that basically kept him out the whole season.
And I hate it when players get the moniker injury prone, or this guy is unable to play because he's always getting hurt, as if he had the choice of having somebody run into him to lose his spleen, or fouling a ball off his foot and breaking it.
No, they're freakish injuries, but unfortunately at this point in time in his career, and Charlie Blackmon at one point was that guy.
That's right.
You know that? And now when you think of Charlie, you think Iron Man, right?
Iron Man.
Never misses. Well, hopefully that's what happens with David. Strike 3 on Nolan. 2 outs, nobody on. Cargo will come up. Folks, when the Rockies score 7 in a game, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the following day. Do it between 4 and 6 in the afternoon to get your Rockies taco special. Live Moss at Taco Bell. Greinke's tough in any circumstance, but especially when you give him a 4-run lead. Cargo got a pitch to hit his first time up, out over the plate, and he had a high fly ball to center field, and you could tell it was on the barrel. He just missed it. Inside. Cargo had a terrific homestand, and then he went to Cincinnati and kept swinging it. 6 for 14, a couple doubles, a home run, drove in 5 in that Cincinnati series. That's a strike. The home run he hit, Talking to Dwayne Espy this afternoon, he said, I wish they could have like moved the batter's eye for a moment so it didn't hit the batter's eye. We actually saw how far that ball would have gone.
Gone in the river.
It may have. And Cargo gets jammed. Goldschmidt to Greinke, and the Rockies go quietly in the third. We'll go to the fourth. 5-1 Arizona. 1st and 3 here in Denver. For Germán Marquez, a rough third inning. He gave up 3 home runs. 2-run shot by Goldschmidt, Lamb, and Peralta solo home runs. Fans joining in on the conversation. Send us your comments to Twitter and include the hashtag ToyotaTalk. The catcher batting 8th is Jeff Mathis. He had a fly ball to center his first time, and the first pitch of the inning is right above the belt for strike 1. Diamondbacks were waiting in Denver for the arrival of the Rockies. They got in Wednesday night after dropping a 5-4 affair in San Francisco. Rockies played a day game obviously yesterday in Cincinnati, so even with the 4+ hour 13-inning game, they arrived around 7:30 yesterday. Two and 1 on Mathis, who catches all of Greinke's games. Caught most of them last year, 25 out of the 32. There were 3 catchers on the Arizona roster last year: Chris Iannetta, Jeff Mathis, Chris Herman. Herman's a guy who could play multiple spots. This is foul. The last Rockies pitcher to give up 3 home runs in an inning was 3 years ago in April, when Scott Oberg gave up 3. That came against the Dodgers. That's going to be foul.
It's interesting seeing teams carrying 3 catchers, to your point. I think when you're watching the Diamondbacks, especially last year, Chris Herman made sense. He was a guy that could play some outfield. But when you're looking at this core group specifically for the Diamondbacks, it's Alex Avila.
They have 3 right now.
They have 3, and they're not as versatile as Chris Herman was.
They have John Ryan Murphy. This is on the ground, and a good job by Nolan. That's when you got to come and get. 1 out.
But Mathis, out of his group of guys, the Diamondbacks, is the best at catching would-be base stealers, and I thought that would be really important in this series specifically, or in tonight, understanding that probably runs were going to come at a premium against Zach Greinke. The Rockies have been very good at stealing bases. That, not to mention it is his personal caddy, but if I'm looking at it, that's another way to shut down the Rockies' potential offense.
Greinke does a good job on his own of shutting down a running game. Zach Greinke, since the start of 2011, has gone 116 and 44. That's a winning percentage of .725. The only guy in baseball better, his former teammate Clayton Kershaw, who's at .726. He's gone 119 and 45. Third on that list, be the leading contender for the Cy Young Award right now in the National League, Max Scherzer.
Mad Max.
And Greinke's gone. 2 outs. It's a 4th strikeout for Herman.
Take a behind-the-scene tour of Coors Field Group and individual tickets available year-round. Call 303-ROCKIES or go to Rockies.com/tours.
John Jay led off last inning. Got ahead 3-0. Marcus threw a couple of strikes, and then on a 3-2 pitch he missed low. And then Goldschmidt followed that walk-up with a home run to dead center. Ball 1 on Jay in his 9th big league season. Desmond's got it, and a quiet inning. So we'll go to the bottom of the 4th. The Rockies work to do on offense. They're down 5-1. Story will lead it off when we come back.
Bottom of the 4th, Gerardo Parra on deck, and I want to take a second to talk about Parra and tell you a little bit about the things you don't see on the field. Parra is a guy who is so good in the clubhouse, and an example of that is the gifts that he has given the coaches this year. They're Nike shoes, and these are the ones he gave to Vinny Castilla. He nicknamed Vinny El Criminal because he used to murder pitchers for fun when he was playing, guys. But I think it's just indicative of what a personality Parra is in the clubhouse, Drew.
You know what? That's perfect for Gerardo, isn't it? He is a character. He's full of life every day. And you need guys like him in the clubhouse, especially right now. Like after a loss like yesterday, right now the Rockies down 5-1. He brings you up.
He does. You need to have that type of personality within the clubhouse to keep everybody sane.
Breaking ball, and it's a swinging strike 2, 1-2.
Plus, you like to take care of your coaching staff. You would know that, Drew.
Absolutely.
Coaches don't get as nice a shoes as the players do. So when players get a nice pair of shoes for the coaches, they look pretty sweet. And they feel good about it.
A criminal, I like it. 1-2 on Trevor. And it's a foul tip. Story, Para, Desmond here in the fourth. Rockies got their run in the second. It was Para who reached on a throwing error by the shortstop Marte. And he would score with 2 outs because with first base open, they intentionally walked Iannetta to get to the pitcher Marcus, and he lined a single to left. So Greinke at 91. Again, he's averaging a little above 89 miles an hour on his fastball. Completely different than his heyday in terms of velocity. He's still in his heyday in terms of effectiveness. And even his misses, it's why he's so tough. Even his misses, man, you have to walk out to the outside corner to be sure.
Well, it's exhausting. You're in an at bat and everything is right on the edge. You're not sure if it's a strike, is it a ball, am I swinging at the pitch he wants me to? What's a mistake?
He gets a strikeout there. You can't dismiss any pitch out of hand. There were some pitches you saw out of hand, you knew that's ball.
That's a ball.
Yeah.
It's a non-competitive pitch. Every pitch that Zach throws tonight so far seemed to be a competitive pitch, except for one hanging curveball.
So here's Para with 1 out. Taylor was talking about Gerardo a moment ago, and he's been overshadowed a little bit because Nolan's had a great year. Cargo's really come on the last couple of weeks. Desmond, who's on deck, has come on. Did you know that Gerardo over his last 30 games has hit .343? Would you have guessed that?
Only because I saw the note earlier.
It was kind of a little bit under the radar, right?
Well, it was why earlier in May when people are trying to figure out, well, how do you get Cargo? How do you get Cargo hot? How do you get his bat in the lineup? Well, you couldn't. David Dahl was playing. Gerardo Parra was playing well. You're not taking Charlie Blackmon out of any lineup.
One, 2-1. It's one of the rare times, especially with a lead, where you'll see Greinke not be in the strike zone on the swing pitch, the 1-1 pitch.
He also knows how aggressive Gerardo is. He'll pick certain counts and cheat and try to get the bat head out in front.
It goes off speed in a fastball count typically, and it's 2-2. Gets a lot of movement on the changeup because Spilly, the difference between his fastball and changeup is not dramatic.
No, it's only 4 miles.
To me, Greinke is the closest we have in the game. Tell me if you agree, to what Greg Maddux was.
Sure.
He's an artist.
Yep.
You think of the other dominant pitchers, Mad Max, Kershaw, Kluber, and the slider. They're mostly power guys. This ball's on a line to center field. And Parr is going to try to get a hustle double, and he will. Good job by Gerardo. So a 1-out double for Parra in front of Ian Desmond.
Well, I like the play for Gerardo. Gets a fastball, 2 strikes. That's when Greinke decides to go with it, pitching backwards. But notice where Dyson is. It's arranged to his right. Slips a little bit, and this is why you keep your eye on the baseball as long as possible and run hard.
So here's Ian Desmond. He rolled 1 to third his first time up. A stat also for you that may surprise you. This is back up the middle, but that's where Descalso is. He bobbled for a moment. He'll still get the out. I was going to tell you that Ian Desmond, despite still hitting below 200, though he's come on the last 10-12 days, has more RBIs inside the NL West than any other player in the division.
Just Just look at the last 10 games for Ian. Was hitting 323, 3 homers, 10 RBIs.
It's 23 ribbies this year inside the division. Well, will they walk Ionetti here? Not with a 4-run lead. Greinke facing his teammate from a year ago. Chris hit an opposite field home run in the Cincinnati series in the first game. His 5th of the year. Rockies have Harrison Musgrave up. That was a pitch right there, Billy. You often talk about the big league level.
You get one.
You get one in an at bat. That may have been the one. A belt high fastball out over the plate.
Yeah, you get one pitch that you can drive. Otherwise, it's on the edges typically.
That slider just missed. 2-2. The guts of a burglar to take that one. 3-2.
Catcher strike zone.
And Mathis probably talking to his buddy Ionetta right now because Jeff was looking to go to the dugout. 3-2 on Chris. He won't take that pitch again. He'll take that one though. A slider in the dirt. That's not a surprising selection by Greinke, knowing that he has the pitcher on deck, but that's why Musgrave's up, because with the Rockies already down 4, they're going to go to their bench early, and it's going to be Mike Tauchman. Tauchman's coming off a nice ball game yesterday. He had 2 hits, including his first career double.
Inside out swing. Perfect location. This is a guy that played extremely well in Albuquerque. For young players, I mean, we knew this at the start of the year when we saw a young bench. Guys like Tauchman and McMahon and Valleca, that it was going to be a challenge getting those at bats, getting the rhythm, getting your timing. Coming out of spring training, regardless of how well you played in spring training, you're not going to get the same amount of at-bats.
Well, the conference, of which everybody was invited but us, it seems like, breaks up. We go downstairs to Taylor. Taylor?
Yeah, I was going to try to run in there, but I didn't have enough time. No, but I was talking with Ryan McMahon and Tauchman today and asking them how they deal with going just so much uncertainty. And they said, you know, we really build off of each other. Tauchman was telling me, you know, I look to Ryan and say, hey, you're struggling with this. What'd you do here? Or, you know, hey, I had a bad game. What are we going to do? And just really celebrating and being with each other in the downtimes too. And they said that has really helped them be able to kind of level it all out, guys.
All right, Taylor, and here's Tauchman facing Greinke, and he takes ball 1. Trying to see if Tauchman had faced Greinke, and he did it. He had a start against Greinke that opening weekend, and he went 1 for 2.
I'll take a 1 for 1.
Good eye. It's 2-0.
Well, I love the point Taylor's making, where you have players young in their career trying to rely on each other on how to get a good feel for how to adapt to this role. It's a difficult role.
And it was a little tardy on that fastball, as if he was looking for something else, something off speed.
Well, if you're trying to guess along at home with Zach Greinke on what pitch you're going to get,
you're going to
lose.
2-1 and a comebacker. That'll end the threat. Tauchman grounds out. We'll go to the 5th inning. 5-1 Arizona. Buddy Black will join us momentarily from the Rockies dugout. Arizona Diamondbacks, it's 5-1 as we go to the top of the 5th, and we go downstairs as we do every Friday night. Buddy Black is kind enough to join us. Buddy, rough 3rd inning for Germán.
Yeah, ball was up, Drew, as you guys saw. I'm sure the ball up to Goldschmidt was a change that was up out over the plate. Breaking ball didn't quite get there to Lamb. That was a little bit elevated, and the ball to Peralta, same thing, a little bit mid-thigh, a little bit danger zone.
Buddy, when you're watching Zach Greinke pitch, what kind of approach do the hitters have to have when you're facing somebody like that?
Well, I think for me, I mean, there's a lot of balls on the edges away. I think you got to look for the ball away and try to take it up the middle the other way. I think Nolan did a nice job of hitting in the first inning his base hit, but there's a lot of balls away. He's on the edges. You got to be ready to hit it for sure, because he's not going to give you much in the strike zone elevated in the middle for sure.
Real quick, how tough a decision is it to go to a pinch hitter that early in the game? I assume Greinke plays into that equation.
I mean, we're not going to get many chances, I don't think, against him. And I thought with, Musgrave, he can give us a couple innings here through their lefties. And there's other factors going here that you guys will find out tomorrow.
All right, great.
Okay.
We appreciate it. Thanks, buddy. Good luck. So we go to the 5th inning. The Rockies will now have Harrison Musgrave out on the hill. And he will face Goldschmidt, Lamb, and Descalso. And Goldschmidt, a double and a 2-run home run. So Musgrave staked with keeping this game right where it is, give the Rockies offense some more chances against Greinke. There's some numbers on Musgrave. 10th appearance now for Harrison. He's done a good job.
He's done a great job, and I think he's turned some heads in the Rockies clubhouse and the coaching staff. Been able to attack right-handers, has a little bit of movement, some deception.
So 5 runs, 6 hits against Germán in 4 innings. He walked 1 and struck out 4. Trio's in there, 3-1 on Paul. One of the things Dave Magadan, we were talking about the Arizona hitting coach, who was a tremendous hitter in his lengthy big league career, said about Goldschmidt, and you can relate to this, Billy. That's a strike. Don't put the bat down yet. 3-2. Is that as great a career as he's had, and as elite as he is, when you struggle and then it becomes a protracted struggle, even for a guy like Goldschmidt, it'll affect your confidence.
It does to everybody. He's human.
Sometimes when we watch him, I question that.
Well, and that's the aspect of baseball. Anybody that's played this game before, you could go 3 for 3 one day and the next day be 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts, and you're wondering, how the heck did that just happen? How did I just get 3 hits the night before and the next day They get struck out every single time. You have to keep that confidence.
Another 3-2 line drive. It's Story. That's about how you're getting Goldschmidt out these days. Let me ask you this. In your career, could you point to one guy who it seemed like their confidence never was altered?
I'm shaking my head no. I mean, even the best that I've been around, Todd, Matt Holliday, Tulo, your confidence gets shook for a second. It always does. We talked to Charlie Blackmon in the offseason. He has that fear when he gets to spring training that he might not be able to hit again.
Dreams in the middle of the night. Don't know what I'm doing at the plate anymore. Can't imagine it happened to him.
If somebody has ever told you their confidence never wavered as a baseball player, they're lying to your face.
Shift is on, and it's a cute foul off the bat of Lamb, who dropped the barrel on a breaking ball down and in and hit it into the seats in the third inning. It's the third home run this year for Lamb. Jake hit 30 last year. Musgrave to Desmond, 2 outs.
The 2018 Camping World MLB All-Star Ballot is now open and exclusively online. So go to Rockies.com/vote to make sure your favorite Rockies are represented.
It is gorgeous out. It's cooled off, fortunately. It's down to 86, 92 at first pitch tonight. That'll bring up Descalso. He singled in a run in the first, struck out looking in the third. And this is a pop fly to left center field. Pretty well hit, but Charlie's going to get over and make the catch. That traveled a little more than I thought it did initially. Good inning from Musgrave. 5-1 Arizona. DJ LeMahieu when we come back. Colorado Rockies baseball on AT&T Sportsnet is brought to you by Subaru. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. And by O'Toole's Garden Centers, putting the color in Colorado. Rockies down 5-1. They're at the top of the order to face Greinke in the 5th inning. Fly ball to center, fly ball to right field so far for DJ. And Greinke comes inside ball 1. With Ryan Spilborghs, Taylor McGregor, and our entire AT&T Sportsnet crew, I'm Drew Goodman. Rockies in the midst of a period where they're playing 12 out of 15 at home. Unfortunately, the Rockies, as you know, have struggled so far at Coors Field. This ball's hit pretty well to center field. Dyson back on the edge of the track will make the catch. The Rockies 11-16 at home. 21 and 14 out on the road. Did you know, since 1900, that disparity between home record and road record, because usually you're going to be better at home naturally, is the second biggest win percentage differential in over 100 years.
Isn't that crazy?
And especially given the Rockies' history at Coors Field and their troublesome history away from Coors Field, that's a shocking number. Now, granted, there's a whole lot of baseball left to be played. Again, tonight is game number 63. But you never thought you'd see something like that a third of the way into the season.
When I saw that number today, I was floored, because that is, to your point, in the history of the Rockies, this has been a home field advantage team. It always has been. The hashtag Coors, or these players are byproducts of Coors Field. How do you explain those numbers? Can't.
Cannot. Ball and 2 strikes on Charlie. Ground ball to second and a strikeout.
Third time through the lineup for Zach Greinke. Hitters start to hit him a little bit better. .314 batting average. If you're looking for the Rockies to get back in this game, this inning's pretty important.
Yeah, given where they are in the lineup, absolutely. The Rockies not only have lost 4 straight at home, they've lost 5 straight to the Diamondbacks at Coors Field. Diamondbacks overall 11 and 4 the last 15 encounters with Colorado. Last year's National League Manager of the Year, Torey Lovullo. 1-2 off the plate, 2-2.
Lovullo won last year's Manager of the Year over Dave Roberts, but Black came in third.
1, 2, and 3 in the West. This ball in the air to deep left field and over the wall, home run. Charlie Blackmon goes opposite field. He wasn't sure, and he just found out. So it's 5-2, 13th of the year for Blackmon. Just his second here at Coors Field.
Typically, Charlie Blackmon does not hit home runs opposite field. But Black mentioned it to us. Greinke will stay away. You have to hit the baseball away. Gets one pitch. Almost belt high for Greinke, even though it's off the plate. Peralta giving chase, runs right into the wall.
Here's Nolan with 1 out. First home run since May the 18th for Charlie.
Game of inches.
For the fan or for Peralta?
Both.
Two outs.
Right fielder, number 5, Carlos Gonzalez.
Charlie takes over the club lead in home runs. He was tied with Nolan. Told you Cargo has 5 home runs lifetime against Greinke. He has 27 lifetime against the Diamondbacks, the team that originally signed him. Fly ball to center and a ground ball to first tonight. And this is lobbed into shallow right center. That'll drop. A base hit for Cargo. So that'll bring up another guy that's tormented Greinke in his career. Trevor Story became a national story after game one in the big leagues because of what he did to Greinke a couple of years back. 2 home run debut. Then the next time they matched up, just to show him it wasn't a fluke, he hit another bomb.
I remember that one to dead center. Crushed.
Way outside.
Well, Dougie did some quick research. We mentioned that Charlie Blackmon typically does not hit home runs opposite field. In 124 career home runs that Charlie Blackmon has, that's his 5th to left field.
He'll take it. One 0 on Trev. And this ball in the air to deep center field. Did he click another? You bet. And here come the Rockies, 5-4. 5th career home run for Story off Greinke. And it's a whole new Friday evening. We can play long ball too, says Story.
Trevor just sees the ball so well off Zach Greinke. Fastball that runs back out over the middle above his belt. Subaru Supermo, hands pulled in. It's off the bat, he knew it.
Here's Parra. Well, the Diamondbacks have a 3 home run inning. The Rockies looking to make things even with a 3 home run inning of their own. Blackmon a solo shot, Story a 2-run shot. It's a 1-run game. Ball and a strike. There's only 3 players in Greinke's marvelous career to have hit 5 home runs against him. We talked about Cargo. Now Story joins Cargo and another former Rocky, the big man, the Giambino, Jason Giambi.
For tonight, Greinke, he's made some mistakes. Typical mistakes we don't see from him. 2 out single to Herman, 2-strike home run to Charlie Blackmon. 2 outs, Cargo gets on, and then another 2-run home run.
Quality swing there by Parra. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Gerardo scored in the second after reaching on a throwing error by the shortstop Ketel Marte, and then he doubled to right center in the 4th inning, was stranded at 3rd base. Now you look up and Greinke's throwing 82 pitches. Everything away on the Subaru strike zone to Marte. Yeah, Trevor's the real deal. Ain't no question about that. Tremendous 2-way player. The other way through the left side, base hit. An electric 5th inning for the Rockies. Here comes Ian Desmond.
Well,
that's quite an at-bat for Parra.
It really is, and he's not afraid to hit the ball opposite field. When Gerardo's at his best, he allows the ball to travel. He's not a guy that typically strikes out often. The Rockies are being a thorn in Zach Greinke's side.
He's one of those guys, Spilling. I thought you explained this really well at the outset of the broadcast. The Rockies, a lot of veterans now, and you know, Trevor's still a young player, but he's had a lot of experience against Greinke. As talented as Greinke is, the Rockies get really geared up to face him.
They enjoy facing him. It's a battle. How can you not love a chess match for every single at bat? It's not just this guy's gonna throw fastball and he's gonna try to beat me 94. It's Here's a changeup, first pitch strike. All right, is he going to throw this? If he's ahead of the count, he's behind the count. You have to grind.
Greinke's won the first 2 battles against Desmond, a couple of ground balls. Desi in the Cincinnati series threw out a line drive home run. Very big launch angle guy. 18 degrees on that home run. He threw into the seats in left center. That was a missile. This is in the air to right field, pretty deep, and caught right in front of the wall by John Jay. In the inning, the Rockies get back in it. Blackman goes opposite field after a Cargo base hit. Trevor Story launched one to dead center. 5-4. Century League High-Speed Challenge. Question is always go to AT&T Sportsnet RM on Twitter to cast your vote, and we'll show you the results during the post-game show. Tonight's question, it's National Best Friends Day. If you could pick one current Rocky to be your BFF, who would it be? Chuck Nolan, Cargo, Gerardo. 4 great choices.
I know there's going to be some write-ins for DJ LeMahieu. People are going to be like, what about DJ? He doesn't talk. He's a perfect, ideal companion for many of us.
You know, it's funny. John Morosi, who does such a great job, MLB Network. John's in town, and we were visiting before the game. And I love John's work. And at one point, we were talking about DJ, and because John and his family live in Ann Arbor. He's a Michigander, and there's a line drive right at Trevor, and that will retire David Peralta. Musgrave's gotten 4 in a row.
He's also a Harvard grad. Did he drop that on you too?
Well, I knew that. He didn't. Harvard guys don't have to drop that. Usually, you're aware. He is a Harvard grad, but he lives in Ann Arbor, and of course, DJ and Jordan, they live in suburban Detroit, and he said, you know, I got to talk to DJ about, you know, some common people they may know, and I said, you need to talk to Jordan. Jordan does the talking for both of them. And I mean that in a great way.
Yeah, in a great way. Jordan's
wonderful.
I'd rather Jordan talk than DJ talk.
I'd rather, and we want to watch DJ play baseball.
Yeah.
Marte, a strikeout, and robbed of a bloop hit to left on a running, sliding catch by Parra. He'll be challenged here. Can't get this one. That one kind of froze him. And Marte, this is amazing. The last 9 hits for Ketel Marte are all extra base hits. You know, if I told you Paul Goldschmidt last 9, you'd say, okay, I believe that. Marte?
On this play, Gerardo just gets caught flat-footed, misread. And there's times where you'll see a right-hander. Left field, for me, was the harder position to play of all the outfield spots because it's a tough read from a right-handed bat. And that was a top spin baseball hit towards him that just carried over his head.
Here's Gerard Dyson. Tied on Dyson. Two ground balls to the right side tonight. Thought about a bunt. Pitches out of the zone. 2-0. Dropped a curveball in there. 2-1. We'd love for Musgrave to find a way to get out of this and get the Rockies back on offense after that 3-run bottom of the 5th inning to get within a run. That'll help. 2-2. Did not go. 3-2. Well, the original blueprint this year, once JD Martinez signed with Boston, the Arizona Diamondbacks went out and signed Steven Souza Jr. But Souza Jr.'s really been out the whole year with a right pec strain. This is live, but a DJ. Won't get the double play. Marte hustled back to the bag. There are 2 outs. And now you have Mathis coming up with Greinke on deck. I would assume, you don't want to assume anything, but the Rockies may walk Mathis with first base open.
I think they're going to go after him. I'll be careful with the hitter like Mathis, career 198 hitter, but always had a knack for driving in the runs.
Musgrave dropped that on the outside corner. It's 0-1. You know, maybe Buddy not 100% convinced that Greinke would take that at bat. Think he would. Still below 90 pitches in the game.
I don't see anybody warming up in the Diamondbacks bullpen, and 2 outs are not going to rush to get somebody lose 86 pitches for Zach Greinke.
So Buddy showed confidence in Musgrave to get Mathis. 2-1. And it's not just confidence to get Mathis. It's confidence in pitching him intelligently. If he loses him, no big deal.
Problem.
And now they're going to go ahead and walk.
They're going to go out.
But that speaks again. You know, Buddy is so savvy, and it speaks to the confidence he has in Musgrave that he's intelligent enough to say, you know what, if you can get him to chase your pitch, fine. Do not leave anything in the middle of the plate. You got 3 pitches. If that swing pitch, the 1-1 pitch, goes in his favor, obviously he's going to still be pitching to him. Now he'll try to get Greinke with 2 outs.
You got to be careful with Greinke.
Hard hit baseball, and it's a knock. And around third is Marte. He'll score, and it's 6-4. So Marcus earlier got a hit against Greinke, and now Greinke singles in a run against Musgrave.
6 straight years for Zach Greinke where he's hit 200 or better. He's a career 217 hitter, gets a cutter out and up. Puts a good swing on it, barrels it up.
And now the top of the order in John Jay. John Jay's load has changed dramatically from a few years ago, hasn't it?
Used to have this, I don't even know how I would describe it. We'd get in this low crouch and push his hands back. His hands would drop. He's really simplified his swing.
And he looks a lot more conventional now. A lot of moving parts in the past. 2 strikes on Jay at second base. Mathis, Greinke at first after that base hit. Did he go? Yep. That'll end the inning. Greinke comes through for Arizona with a 2-out single. And it's 6-4 as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. AT&T Sportsnet is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. Somewhat muggy night, but we'll take it. The Rockies right now trail the Diamondbacks 6-4 as they come to bat in the bottom of the 6th inning. Drew Goodman, Ryan Spilborghs, Taylor McGregor, Chris Iannetta, and then it'll be a pinch hitter, Noel Cuevas. And the top of the order against Greinke. The Rockies got back in the ballgame in the 5th with 1 out. Blackman an opposite field home run with 2 outs. Cargo a single. Trevor Story a bomb to dead center. That made it 5-4. The Diamondbacks got an RBI single from Greinke last half inning, so it's 6-4. Rockies trying to bounce back after that kick in the gut loss yesterday. You have typically 3 or 4 of those a year. Even the great teams have those quote-unquote tragic losses, and yesterday there's no other way to describe it. When you're up 5-2 in the 8th, those are ones you want to put away. 2 strikes now on Iannetta. And Chris goes down swinging. 1 out, and Cuevas will pinch hit for Musgrave. Andrew Chafin, the left-hander, is now up in Arizona's pen. This pitch will be number 90 for the Florida native Zach Greinke. So, because Buddy was forced to go to the bench early in this game. There's only 2 bats left on the Rockies bench. McMahon and your backup catcher, Tony Walters. It's the same scenario now just about every night for National League teams. The days of having a 5-man bench, pretty much a thing of the past.
It's hard to remember some of the teams that even have a 5-man bench. The Diamondbacks do, but very few teams in baseball have a 5-man bench. And just looking at what's left, that basically means it's going to be Ryan McMahon against the Diamondbacks' best relief pitcher. Because you're not going to use Tony Walters in a pinch hit situation if you're not putting him in the game. You want to make sure you have that backup catcher in case anything happens. And we've seen him play some second base, but that means you lose DJ.
Cuevas keeps the AB alive. Well, yesterday, Cincinnati, case in point, they had to hit pitchers. Michael Lorenzen pinch hit early in the game because Michael Lorenzen was a great, not a good, he was a great 2-way player at Fullerton, right? He hit a ball to left field, a base hit.
It was the hardest ball ever hit.
It was the hardest ball ever hit by a Cincinnati Red. Now, we've only going back 4 years since the StatCast era, but it came off the bat at 116.5 miles an hour. If you've looked at Michael Lorenzen, he looks like a guy who can hit it very hard. But later in the ball game, they had to hit whoever was in relief, they had to hit him. And fortunately, from their perspective, they ended up winning the game. But especially if you go extra innings now in the National League, you're going to see situations where guys that have had only 1 or 2 at bats all year will have to swing the bat. Cuevas battling away against Greinke. On the inside corner, a called strike 3.
Second baseman, number 9.
The Rockies are celebrating Play Ball Weekend, and the first 7,500 kids through the gates tomorrow will receive a MLB Play Ball Weekend wristband. Get here early. There's not a lot of those wristbands that will be available. Game starts at 5:15 tomorrow.
And again, that ball game will be on Fox tomorrow. This is back up the middle and on through. Base hit for LeMahieu. And that'll bring up the tying run and Charlie Blackmon. Torluvello wants Chafin to face Charlie, it looks like. So with 2 outs in the 6th inning, tying run coming up for the Rockies.
Blackman's opposite field StatCast numbers brought to you by Subaru. 93 miles an hour off the bat, a 31-degree launch angle, 389 feet, just enough. My favorite is when you're looking at some of these numbers, you can check out what the hit probability was for that one. And Charlie Blackman had a hit probability, 24%. So it's one of those evenings where, okay, maybe there was some little help behind it.
And
little angels flying on the baseball.
And what little munchkin comes up with the hit percentage that was 24% off the bat?
Hey, it's just the numbers. The numbers don't lie.
And then we spit it out there like that was stone cold fact.
No, the numbers have no feelings.
Well, I'll tell you some good numbers. Charlie's hitting over 300 against lefties this year. And Chafin has always been good, but the league left-handers are hitting close to 250 against him, or slightly better than league average. And you see he's been tougher on righties this year. 2-0. Charlie knows him well. He's seen him 17 times in his career, 4 for 17.
And Charlie knows that Chafin wants to get to the slider. That's the pitch that he typically attacks Charlie Blackman with.
2-out single by LeMahieu. He's at first. 6-4 Arizona.
Chafin also has a great handlebar mustache. He was once asked by a girlfriend, I'm not sure if he's still with her or not, he might be married for all I know, but she asked him to shave that thing off. I never followed up whatever happened to her, but he grew it right back.
That's your story entirely. I'm moving on. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Charlie. And they got DJ picked off. Not what you want to see there. Not with Charlie at the plate. So the inning ends. 6-4 Arizona. The Kubota pitching performance tonight, and a comparison to the starters. It was a rough night for German Marquez. He gave up a run in the first. That first inning's been tough for him, and then 3 home runs in the third. He was removed for a pinch hitter after 4 innings. Zach Greinke was cruising along until the Rockies got after him in the 5th inning. They hit a couple of home runs. Blackman and a 2-run shot from Story. So we stand at 6-4 as we go to the 7th inning. And the new pitcher is Chris Russin, who pitched the last 2 innings, well, almost the last 2 full innings yesterday in Cincinnati. He gave up the 2-run walk-off home run to Jesse Winker. The Rockies' pen is short because of 13 innings yesterday. Wade Davis is down. Brian Shaw is down. They did make a move, if you missed it earlier. Jeff Hoffman was called to the big leagues today. Mike Dunn was placed on the disabled list. So Russin against Goldschmidt. He gets weak contact. Story will throw him out. Well, obviously, there's any number of guys that you can point to in the Rockies' pen that you say, boy, you want to see them get going now and start pitching like they historically have. I mean, Chris Russin, make an argument, he was one of the 3 or 4 most valuable relief pitchers in baseball last year. And you want to see him get on that kind of roll again. 1 out. Here's Jake Lamb. And Lamb hits a ground ball to the right fielder, DJ LeMahieu. 2 outs. 2 pitches, 2 outs. That works well.
And talking to Russin, it's been a mechanical adjustment. Trying to get his body in line, making sure his arm is catching up. Because Chris Russin is not a guy with big velocity. Not the 95s that you see coming out of bullpens. He relies on location. He relies on deception. He relies on his ability to change a hitter's timing. And when you're missing middle part of the plate, which Russin has been, you're going to get hurt.
Rockies have allowed 6 runs on 8 hits tonight. That's a strike. They've got 9 straight games for the first time in their history where they've allowed 10 or more hits. That's a good pitch. 1 and 2. Well, you know how baseball is. They are due from a talent standpoint. That bullpen's due for a 3 or 4 week stretch where we say, you know, they've had a 1.8 ERA over 25, 30 ball games.
Well, and that group out in that bullpen, they're confident because they've done it before. They know everybody goes through a rough stretch. The offense has gone through a rough stretch. You've seen, it's very rare that an entire team plays great.
Well, that's how you go on runs where you win 12 out of 14.
That's right.
15 out of 19. That kind of stretch. 1-2, quick pitch and a strike. Ooh, almost a strikeout as that ball squeaked out of the glove of Chris Iannetta. I call it baseball symmetry. You have to have it to win consistently. I know folks at home, the frustrating part is the Rockies are right there near the top of the division, and everybody else in the division has had their situations where they haven't played well, where they've dealt with injuries. You feel like, man, if the Rockies had put some,
there's no question they've lost
some
opportunities
games together, you could be 4, 5, 6 games up. This ball is lined down the right field line. Cargo is in right center. This is a long run for him. Descalso will stop at second with a 2-out double.
The Subaru Supermo, a slider back out over the middle, and it was back to that 2-strike fastball that he almost had. Descalso struck out. Got a couple extra pitches. Descalso, such a good place at the plate.
Peralta, a single of the infield variety, then a home run and a line out. Got a couple hits tonight. Chris gets there and flips to first. Nice job by Russin. Descalso left at second. We'll stretch at Coors Field. The Rockies trail by 2. First of 3 between these two clubs. They have not met since the first 3 games of the year. Arizona won 2 of 3 down at Chase Field. Here's our Rocket Mortgage breakdown. Man on deck is Nolan Arenado. Earlier in the game, he had a base hit, so he's reached in 20 in a row. He's reaching all but 3 games this year. Over those 20 games, 347 average, 4 home runs, driven in 13. And this is rolled to first, and Charlie's retired on 1 pitch by Andrew Chafin. Nolan's base hit in the first was a line drive to right. Strikeout looking, and a ground ball to third against Zach Greinke. Greinke on the plus side went 5 2/3. 4 runs, all earned on 8 hits. Walked 2, one of those walks intentional. He struck out 5. One of the strengths for Arizona all year has been their bullpen. It was a strength last year. Their bullpen has a 2.66 combined ERA. This is the short right field. Jay's got it, 2 outs. That's 3rd best in baseball, their pen ERA. Their overall whip, walks, hits per inning pitch is 120. That's 4th best in baseball. 4 of those 5 teams are either leading a division or near the top of the division. Obviously San Diego is not, but it's not like San Diego's buried.
Nope.
Cargo with 2 outs and nobody on. Singleton scored in the 5th on the 2-run home run by Story. Bottom of the zone, strike 1.
Well, that's why when you're watching the Diamondbacks and you're looking at the National League West, you know that regardless of the offensive woes that the Diamondbacks have, the pitching and their defense will keep them tight.
Well, that ERA to me is impressive because Chase Field's a great offensive yard.
Even with the humidor, I mean, we're still seeing numbers are better than league average playing at Chase Field.
1-1 on Cargo. One and 2. Some teams do this. When it gets to 2 strikes with Cargo, they flip their 3rd baseman over to the right side and put their shortstop back on the left side. And Chafin gets a strikeout, and he works a 1-2-3, 7th inning. We'll go to the 8th. It remains 6-4 Arizona. This evening's Fun Cam is brought to you by the Lodge Casino, your first choice for fun. And a whole bunch of kids are having a blast tonight because they got to walk on a big league field. One of the finest in the game, Coors Field. That's pretty good. Billy was doing that dance earlier today.
Every kid on a baseball field. Yesterday I was at my son's baseball game.
Yeah.
In between pitches, everybody's doing that dance.
Is that
It's
right?
unbelievable.
And look who's operating this Fun Cam. The Youth Baseball Parade, part of the Play Ball Initiative. Chris Russin to Ketel Marte, and he misses ball one. Marte, Dyson, Mathis scheduled. Cutter's in there for a strike. Rockies 13-16 in the division. And again, trying to break a 5-game losing streak at home against Arizona. And it's 3-1.
That's a disappointing aspect about 2018 so far with the Rockies is you have to reestablish some home advantage. You have to get that as a strength.
And that's, not a good walk. There are very few walks where you go, that's a good walk. Leadoff walks don't fall in that category. Leadoff walk in the third hurt Marcus, because Paul Goldschmidt right behind that hit a 2-run homer. Gerard Dyson 0 for 3 tonight.
I love the story of Gerard Dyson, 50th rounder when they used to have 50 rounds in the MLB draft out of Southwest Mississippi Community College.
I bet you the conversation went like this with the area scout, the report he filed. He said one trait he has is he can really run.
He can fly. He has a quote that he said back when he was with the Kansas City Royals, and it's still, it's one of those quotes where it always hits you. He said, "The Royals believed in me when I didn't believe myself."
Compliment to him, a huge compliment that he worked his tail off on his game. And I used to say this to you, Spilly, and you know this. If you're a first or second round pick, or you're a pick where they have an organization has money wrapped up in you, you're going to get a number of opportunities to fail. If you're a 50th round pick, if you're a 15th round pick where there's not a ton of money, 20, 25, anywhere in there, you have to obviously perform well, and you have to have a godfather.
You have to have some friends that believe in you. And that's the part. We were talking about confidence earlier. When you have a player that doesn't even realize what he could potentially be and not even have confidence in themselves prior to even beginning their journey.
And that goes to the backstop.
It almost sounded like it was a foul tip.
Marte to second.
The Super is Super Mo. Dyson showing bunt. The tip sound was just off the edge of Ionetta's catcher's glove. Now we're definitely in a bunting situation for Dyson.
We want to try to get it on the third base side. Out in front of the plate, Ionetta. Nope, it's got to go to first, and you got to hustle. You have plus speed at second in Marte, and obviously at plus speed at the plate in Dyson. So he gets the bunt down. And then the Rockies, down by 2, will have to bring the infield in with Jeff Mathis coming up.
And wild pitches over the last 2 days have really hurt the Colorado Rockies. In fact, they have 32 wild pitches this season, which is second in the National League.
Mathis 0 for 2, was intentionally walked in the 6th inning. And this is toward deep left center field. It'll be extra bases for Mathis. Marte walks home. He's headed toward third. He'll have a triple, which I don't think Jeff Mathis accumulates many triples. 7-4 Arizona. Mathis, that's his first triple of the year. It's just his second extra base hit.
You just said it, 7th career triple for Jeff Mathis in his 14-year career. Just hits it out into the corner. Rockies weren't shifted in that direction. The way it kicked off into the corner. Better be standing at third.
Chris Owings is going to pinch hit for Chafin. That's outside, ball 1. Diamondbacks have scored in 4 different innings. 2-0. The Rockies bullpen on Wednesday threw shutout baseball. Well, other than Wednesday, as you know, it has been a rough stretch. In fact, their bullpen ERA in June is over 10. Infield remains in.
Bullpens are going to give up runs. I mean, typically you're looking at an ERA, they're always going to be elevated because they don't throw as many innings. So you give up a run, your ERA is going to be up. I think when you're watching this bullpen of late, the thing to point to that has got to bother them is the walks. The walks have turned around to bite the Rockies bullpen more than anything.
This is lifted to Cargo in fairly deep right field. Mathis is going to stride it home. It's too far even for Cargo. And it's 8-4. You know what happens, and you kind of alluded to this earlier, offensively, you're never going to have 8 guys that are smoking hot at the same time.
Of course not.
You hope maybe you get 4 or 5 really going well.
Sure.
It's the same thing with a pen. You're not going to have, there's 8 members of a pen. You're not going to have 8 guys who are just all on top of their game at the same time. Unfortunately right now, especially with Ottavino being down, you've seen almost the opposite where there's not even 1 or 2 guys you can point to or say, well, you know, they're throwing the ball really well right now. It's a collective thing. And you just hope when it emerges that, you know, by and large collectively they go the other direction.
They will.
And that'll end the inning. The called strike on John Jay. A couple more runs for Arizona. The Rockies trail 8-4 as they come to bat in the bottom of the 8th. Sportsnet is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. And by Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo customers get your 2-for-1 Rockies club level tickets by visiting wellsfargo.com/Rockies. Well, the Rockies fell behind early, and they're down 8-4 against the Diamondbacks as they come to bat in the bottom of the 8th inning. Trevor Story wants a 2-run home run tonight to get the Rockies within a run. That was back in the 5th inning. We'll lead things off, and the new arm out there for Arizona is a guy who's been throwing the ball well. That's Yoshi Hirano. League hitting just 180 against Hirano, his first season in the big leagues.
It's a great slider and split finger.
Here's the long ball off the bat of Trevor Story, his 5th career home run against Zach Greinke.
After that home run, felt the momentum swing towards the Rockies.
Fastball's up, 1-1. Chafin gets credit for an inning and a third. Nothing across other than a strikeout. And this ball's well hit left center field. And that's off the middle of the wall, and Trevor will have himself a double. He just hit that too much on a line, otherwise he'd be trotting around the bases again.
Trevor's just in such a great place because his leg kick is keeping him centered, keeping his body and his head from moving. Super mode. Split finger that does not get towards the bottom part of the zone. It stays up.
Parr has had a nice ball game. Reached on an error in the 2nd and scored. Double to right center. And also a single. Rockies began the day just a half game out of first behind these Diamondbacks. It's only the 4th time that these two clubs have met after June 1st, where both were 1-2 in the division. There's a vote for Parr for BFF. A CenturyLink poll question tonight.
I love Gerardo Parra, but my choice would have probably been Nolan Arenado, just because we could golf together, and he's a big fan of basketball, and I like watching basketball.
Cardinal likes hoops.
Yeah, but he doesn't like to golf.
Good card player.
I like playing cards.
0-2.
Yes, Parra can buy me shoes, buy my friendship.
Charlie took you fishing.
I like fishing.
Kept you from drowning.
That's why you have to have a variety of friends.
Eclectic friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A motley crew of guys. But you can hang out different, do different things together.
Good job by Parr covering that pitch. Rockies trying to put a rally together. Lead off double by Story. We talked about how tough a loss that was for the Rockies yesterday, up by 3 in the 8th inning. Conversely, and you know this is coming, they haven't had the steal victory yet this year, where it looked kind of hopeless, and all of a sudden you have that late rally, that Loto magic. 1 out, and that'll bring up Desmond.
To miss the 25th anniversary weekend, June 22nd through June 24th, as the Rockies take on the Marlins. Go to Rockies.com/25th for details.
Desmond, a couple of ground outs, and with Parra at first, he had a ball to the wall in right field. For a moment, you thought it may get over the head of Jay, and if it did, it would have tied up the game. That was in that 3-run 5th inning. Parra was running as soon as there was contact because it was 2 outs. One from Hirano. Scored upon in his last 14 outings.
Faced Toronto back in Japan, Drew.
How'd you do?
Not good.
Well, a lot of guys struggled with Hirano. I've asked you this before. Does everybody throw a splitter in Japan?
A lot of relief pitchers have split fingers, and majority of the starters have split fingers. It's basically their changeup. You don't see it taught in Japan, the circle change or the palm ball. It's the split finger. And it's such an effective pitch because you can have the same arm action, which is so important in selling the changeup.
Desmond takes that, levels the count at 2-2.
Looking at Hirano, in 2014, how about this? They don't have this award in the United States. They probably should. Most valuable middle reliever.
Really? He also had 156 saves in Japan. So he pitched late also. 2-2 to Desi. He's helped anchor that good bullpen for Arizona with Archie Bradley. Three and 2. They use Boxberger in the 9th. Boxberger's done a good job. Ball 4. So Desmond draws a walk. Now you have a little traffic out there for Chris Iannetta. McMahon will come out on deck to hit. Here's Ryan. His first career triple yesterday.
Left on left against Amir Garrett.
That can't be a fun at bat.
No.
Iannetta, sharp ground ball right at short. That'll turn into a double play. That ends the 8th inning. It'll take us to the 9th. The score remains 8-4 in front of Arizona.
Corey Sullivan give a wave? I'll give a wave. That's where we are. Getting ready for the Toyota Post Game Show. Jenny Kapner with Corey Sullivan. I think this one, you can really look back at the third inning, the 3 home runs, the 4 spot for the Diamondbacks. So far giving him the edge.
Yeah, and you know, Herman made 3 mistakes with 3 different pitches. All were called in different locations, and he gave up 1,281 feet worth of home runs in that inning.
That's Wake Forest math for y'all. Let's send it back to Drew and Spilly, and we'll see you right after the game.
All right, Jenny, thank you. Here in the top of the 9th inning, Brooks Pounders will take over. Goldschmidt, Lamb, Descalso, 2, 3, and 4 for the Diamondbacks. Around the National League West, the Dodgers in the 5th inning. They've won 15 out of 20. They're leading Atlanta 3-0 at Dodger Stadium.
Giants won in Washington 9-5.
Miami won in South Florida over the Padres 4-0. Goldschmidt a double in the first and would score. Then a 2-run home run in the third against German Marquez. Line to short and grounded to short since 2 for 4. Arizona's perennial all-star. And he takes strike 1. This is high in the air to deep center field, and this one is going to go. Second home run of the night, both to dead center for Paul Goldschmidt, and it's 9-4 Arizona.
It's scary when you see a hitter as good as Paul Goldschmidt get locked in. 4 hits 2 days ago. 3 hits tonight, 2 home runs. He's not missing fastballs like he was earlier, and you could just tell. When a hitter gets locked in, he had a double in the first inning, opposite field. Hitters know, they go, okay, it's coming. Here come the hits.
That's his first 2 home run game of the year. His last was August 3rd, a year ago. He's making up for all of the offers earlier in the season. He's got 10 hits in his last 14 at bats. 2 strikes on Jake Lamb. He homered in the 3rd, right behind Goldschmidt. Arizona hit 3 home runs that inning. Peralta hit a home run also. Baseball is a game of streaks, positively and negatively. Arizona a couple weeks ago lost 15 out of 17. They averaged 2 runs a game for 17 days. 2 runs a game. They've obviously swung it well tonight, and they've played much better the last 10 days. Averaging almost 6 runs a game. Tonight they have 9.
Well, take a look at the team ERA. That hasn't changed. The pitching for the Diamondbacks has stayed steady. The first 15,000 fans through the gates on Saturday, June 23rd, will receive a 25th anniversary throwback replica jersey, courtesy of King Soopers.
Ball, foul. strike out of Lamb. I'll bring up Descalso, a couple years in a Rockies uniform, now in his second season with Arizona. Singled in a run in the first, he doubled in the seventh. He's 2 for 4 this evening. Product of Cal Davis. Turned into a nice baseball school. It's a terrific academic school.
Descalso is one of those players that we've noticed in baseball with this quote-unquote launch angle revolution, which I don't typically agree with it. I think it comes down to players are not trying to hit the ball on the ground. This guy that typically in his Cardinals days would hit the ball on the ground 40% of the time. He's hitting ground balls less than 30%. Fly balls almost 50% of the time, and he's seen the slugging percentage numbers go up, strikeouts going up a little bit, home runs are up. But it's also understanding what pitches allow you to put a baseball in the air.
The game is looked upon differently now. I remember 30 years ago going to a clinic held by the late Jerry Kindle, who was the head coach at the University of Arizona. Yep. And he talked about, clearly, line drives are the best thing to hit. We all know that. You're going to hit for the highest average with line drives. And next, this ball's pretty well hit right center field. Cargo will slide over and make the catch. Next was ground balls, because all the collective data was ground balls would produce the next highest batting average. Probably still true. But the game has moved on to everything's about slugging, and strikeouts aren't frowned upon. And if you hit enough balls in the air, some are going to go over the wall. And that is the trend you're alluding to over the last few years.
Well, and you wouldn't expect Daniel Descalso to be the type of player that wants to drive the ball in the air.
But he's hit 7 home runs already.
And he has turned over the last couple of years into a dynamic pinch hitter and spot starter, and an important player in that clubhouse.
On the pull side, he can do damage. He's found his niche. 1 strike on Peralta.
That's what I always warn parents that are talking about, hey, I want my kid to hit the ball in the air. Well, you have to understand what pitches allow you to put the ball in the air. And that takes time.
One and two.
For example, Mike Trout. He likes the ball down. The ball down is the pitch that he elevates. Carlos Gonzalez likes the ball down. Nolan likes the ball up. That's the pitches that they hit and elevate. Elevated pitches they can hit for homers or hit for fly balls. Saw Goldschmidt, he likes the ball up.
One, two on the ground foul. This is served to left field toward the gap, and it's a tweener. Peralta with his 3rd hit tonight. A 2-out double, and that'll bring up the shortstop, Ketel Marte. 12-hit evening for Arizona. It's 10 straight games now that the Rockies have allowed at least 10 hits, and that's an ongoing club record.
just to wrap up the thought on Daniel Descalso and putting the ball in the air between 2010 and 2015, he hit 15 home runs in 1,400 at-bats. Since 2016, the last 3 years, 25 home runs and 740 at-bats. Results are playing out.
Yeah, that's a big difference. Camberwell's getting worn out tonight.
Yeah, that might have right at Taylor's feet. Did you get that, Taylor?
Guys, I'm safe. I did play soccer, but no, I didn't hit that with my foot. Just ducked.
That would not be wise. Not advisable. Toward the hole, Desmond, a nice play and a beautiful lead to Pounders to end the inning. Nice play by Ian Desmond. In the inning, Paul Goldschmidt hit his second home run of the game, and it's 9-4 going to the bottom of the ninth. Cooney lets this look back. Catch by Gerardo Parra earlier. That was an opposite field home run by Blackman. That started a 3-run rally when the Rockies were down 5-1 and got them within 5-4. But Paul Goldschmidt's had a big night, a couple of home runs, and Arizona has produced 9 runs, 4 homers this evening. Bottom of the ninth inning, TJ McFarland is out there for Arizona. It's 9-1-2 for the Rockies. Ryan McMahon will be the pinch hitter. And McMahon hits it to the middle of the diamond. And that's 1 out as Marte throws him out. Actually, is that Owings?
Looks like Owings stayed out on the field, so he's playing shortstop.
No, it's Nick Ahmed, actually.
Ahmed.
Yep.
5-man bench.
So Nick Ahmed with the assist. 2 on Tacos. Fans, follow us at AT&T Sportsnet RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies Taco Special when the Rockies eclipse the 7-run mark. DJ a base hit in the 6th inning, 1 for 4 tonight. Marte is now at second, and Descalso's come out of the game. DJ lines this ball to the corner and left. And he'll have a one-out double.
DJ is so important to the Rockies lineup. Very rare that he pulls baseballs unless it's an off-speed pitch. Farland with the little, might have been a slider or a cutter, unable to get it under DJ's hands and just rifles it into left field. Love to see the Diamondbacks sweat out this 9th inning.
Strike on the outside corner. Charlie hit a home run in the 5th. You just saw that during our Cooney Lexus look back. 1 for 4. And Charlie bounces this one to short. 2 outs.
Just looking at the Rockies for tomorrow's starters. Matt Cook.
It's Cook. Yep, Matt Cook.
Chad Bettis.
And again, that game will be on Fox tomorrow. Start time of 5:15 in the Mountain Time Zone.
I wanted to point out, if the score holds true and the Dodgers currently are winning their game in LA, it'll be a 3-way tie for second.
Outside on Nolan.
The entire league trying to chase down the Diamondbacks. They'll have a 1-game lead on everybody. Rockies, Giants, and Dodgers will all be tied up.
Heard from a lot of people around the division the last week. This ball's fouled off. Bob Nightingale did a nice piece in USA Today on how congested the NL West is, and he guessed, along with some others, that it's going to stay that way till late in September. But a lot of players believe, because this was picked by many, we thought this at the start of the year, that it may be the toughest division in all of baseball. And I know a lot of players think, even though the records aren't stellar yet, that it will still play out as one of the top couple of divisions in baseball.
It'll be a fight. I mean, if you look at every roster, there's great players on every team. And I think if you're watching the Dodgers and you're looking at the Diamondbacks, they're driven by pitching.
3-1.
Rockies have great defense, just like the Diamondbacks.
A solid rotation.
Solid rotation. Everybody has aspects to win a division. I mean, there's no question.
And listen, there's a lot of talent in that bullpen. You know, obviously it hasn't performed the last couple of weeks, but their names with distinguished resumes in that Rockies bullpen. So you hope this is just, you know, one of those periods you look back on. You say, you know, remember that rough patch in late May, early June, and now look where we are. I mean, that's what you hope the future narrative is. After today, 99 games left. That's why they call it a marathon. It remains 3-2 on Nolan. The good news is, the one thing we haven't talked about in a while, which is great, where's the Rockies offense? Because night in and night out, the Rockies offense over the last 2 weeks been pretty sound. And that is punched to Goldschmidt. It'll end the ball game. So disappointing Friday night to begin this 3-game set against Arizona. The Diamondbacks have now won 6 straight at Coors Field. That has never happened before. They win 9-4. Greinke is now 5-4. Marcus takes the loss. He is 4 and 6. And overall, the Rockies have lost 5 in a row at Coors Field. They're now 11 and 17 at home. The final score once again 9-4 favoring Arizona. We go to center field. Here's Jenny Cavnar. Jenny?
Yeah, the Rockies on a losing streak at home. Not good news on a short homestand. Just 3 against the Diamondbacks. What needs to improve for a win tomorrow? We'll let you know coming up on the Toyota Postgame Show.